All right, so we look for the inside function, right? So my instinct here is when I see this, I see I have 1 minus z inside a power function. So my instinct is to say, well, let's say u equal 1 minus z. All right, now du would be a negative 1 times dz. And now I could rearrange that. I could say this was a negative 1 times du is equal to dz. But now if I go back up to this integral and I try to make that substitution, I got the z to the fourth out here and I don't know what to do with it. If I try to substitute that, I don't know what to do with the z to the fourth, right? How do I get that z to the fourth? One thing I could do is I could rearrange this and make it into z is equal to, take my original substitution, solve it for z. And I could say that I would get what? 1 minus u. Okay. And then I could say, well, okay, 1 minus u to the fourth times u squared is equal, and then I have to take it times a minus 1 du, right? And then I could do a substitution. But when I look at that, okay, I don't know how to solve that either, right? It doesn't look any better, right? In fact, it's worse because now I have 1 minus u to the fourth power, all right? And so the lesson here is substitution doesn't always work, all right? So I'm going to write that down. How about if I write it in red? I'm going to write it in red because it's important to know that substitution does not always work. Substitution does not always work. Okay? That's important. It works for certain types of integrals, but it doesn't work for all integrals. Okay? So this substitution doesn't really do anything for me, and so I'm going to cross this out. All right? And let's see if there's anything else we could do. Now, there are some integrals that you need other techniques that you're not going to learn in Calc 1. Calc 2, we spend a lot of time on integration, and we learn some more techniques for integrals. So not all, but even then, not all integrals are solvable. So we have to look at this and see if there's anything else we can do. And so when I look at this, I think, okay, well, it's just a square, right? It's just a square. And so I can FOIL that out, right? I'm going to get 1 minus 2z plus z squared if I FOIL that out. And then I can distribute the z to the fourth. So just don't forget what you already know. That's the key thing, right? Just because you learn a new tool, sometimes they say, when you get a new hammer, everything looks like a nail. You get a new tool and everything looks like a substitution problem, but not always. So let's go ahead. We get 2z to the fifth plus z to the sixth. Okay, dz. Okay, now that's something I can solve. Right, I'm going to get z to the fifth over 5 minus 2 z to the sixth over 6, and then plus z to the seventh over 7 plus a c, right? So that's good. You can leave it that way. The only thing I can see is maybe that 2 and the 6 can cancel. I could rewrite this as 1/5 z to the fifth minus 1/3 z to the sixth plus 1/7 z to the seventh plus c. That's fine too. All right, so that was so the point of this one was to just remind you that substitution doesn't always work. All right, I'll meet you in the next video for the next example.